Hello there everyone. So recently a friend asked me while in an Alliance raid, what was the story behind the early ones and why was it different from the ones that we have today? So back in A Realm Reborn, everything was pretty much shiny new. The meta was new, the patches were brand new, like we didn't know what was going to come next from one patch to the next. The first 24-person Alliance raid, Labyrinth of the Ancients, was launched in patch 2.1, the first of 3 raids in the Crystal Tower arc. Everyone was hyped for this raid, including myself. Many of us were busy clearing and re-clearing the 8-person raid of Binding Coil Bahamut, and we were all hungry for new content. The idea of a 24-person raid was exciting for many people, especially for people like me that came from a background like WoW, where larger raids were harder, more exciting, and there's a lot more of an atmosphere when you have so many people working together for a common goal like that. Many FCs, including mine, were making plans for this raid content, even going as far as talking to other FCs to make large 24-person raids comprised of 3 statics from each FC. That's how serious we were taking it. We were treating it like an upcoming raid tier. The raid released, and it required a certain amount of quests to unlock it, a lot more than you'd see today. Mainly fetch quests, location based ones, go from one place to the next, and you had a fair few cutscenes in the middle as well. Today in the current Alliance raid you get a couple of quests, fairly easy enough, go from one place to the other, a cutscene or two, and pretty much that's it. Everybody is easily directed and is able to unlock it. So as a result, in A Realm Reborn, the unlock requirements were a lot more time consuming. Nothing really bad, maybe an hour or two to unlock it, especially if you are watching the cutscenes. On the day of the release, I queued up myself because I really wanted to test the waters before me and my static went in later that night. I was surprised. The Duty Finder pug of 24 people literally cleared the entire raid with ease. It took us like 45 minutes to an hour. There was a wipe or two, but otherwise it was just steamroll through the entire thing. If there were mentions or patch notes to state this content was easier than normal raids, I didn't read them, and many others didn't either. A lot of people got upset. I was kind of let down, but mainly because I was so hyped going into the patch. Most people expected this raid tier to be difficult, or at least more difficult than Binding Coil, which was an 8-man raid. Or at least something more challenging than what we got. The future Alliance raids in the tier, Surface Tower and World of Darkness, they added a lot more challenge to the fight with some extra mechanics and group tactics. So they were definitely a leg up from the first one. Personally, I really enjoyed the Alliance raids in A Realm Reborn. It's just my problem was I went into the patch blind to the fact that even though it said raid in the name, that just meant that it was large scale for 24 people. That was the only raid part about it. It had nothing to do with the difficulty. Happily, in the same patch for raid content, we got the first 3 extreme 8-man trials. So that kept us all busy and happy. I hope you enjoyed this video. I plan to do more in the future about what the game was like years ago from a player perspective. Thinking back on it, there are so many stories to tell about A Realm Reborn. Mainly because the content in A Realm Reborn was brand new. We didn't know from one patch to the other how the raiding scene would change, how the content was going to come out, what new mechanics were going to come out. So there were a lot of stories to tell in terms of what raiding and what gameplay was like in general in A Realm Reborn. So thank you and have a good one.